going on, family? Good morning. How you guys doing today? I just arrived right here at Hanjin, and I got a dual. Got an empty in and a load out. It's 8 o'clock right now. My appointment was 7 to 8, but they give you 1 hour grace period at the backside, so I have until 9 to pick it up. Man, yesterday my wife, she was like, guess what? I was like, what? She's like, today is your 5-year anniversary for your trucking company. I was like, no shit. Crazy. 5 years went by quick. But I guess I could talk a little bit about how I became an owner operator and just how it was, how my 5 years of being an owner operator has been. So to start off, I'll just say I was a company driver for 3 years. I worked for Warner Enterprises for 2 of those years, and I mostly did like regional type jobs, like dedicated regional. Maybe like my first 10 months, and then after that, had a long conversation with my wife one night. It was actually the night of 4th of July, and my ass was stuck in Mammoth Lakes area, like at a rest stop. I was gonna say gang of snow, but there was no snow. I was just 4th of July, I was stuck, and I didn't even have no freaking reception, like no internet to be able to like watch fireworks on my phone or nothing. And I was just talking to my wife like for a long ass time, like a good 4-hour conversation, just being like down in the dumps because I was stuck and I couldn't be with my family to celebrate 4th of July, because that's like our tradition. We always hang out and get together with the family, or we'll go somewhere to like a baseball field, like in Upland. They have at the Upland High, they would always do fireworks right there. Or sometimes we'll like go to like up in the mountains off of Haven and just see the whole valley of fireworks or whatever. But yeah, that day I was just like, man, like I've been over the road regional truck driving, and like my main whole thing since I first became a truck driver was I want to be local. I want to like have like a however many hour shift, 12-hour shift, and go home at the end of the day, every single day. Like I didn't want to be sleeping in my truck for 2-3 weeks at a time and then go home for only 3 days and then go back out and do it all over again, which is what I was doing. But the only thing was, like, I could have had at that point in time, I was already like maybe a year, or what I say, 10 months of being a truck driver. And I was just fed up with being over the road. Like, who the hell wants to go over the road? Like, to each his own. Everybody's different. Some people like being over the road and, just having that over the road lifestyle, like solo, lone wolf type of thing. But I'm just a family man. Like, I need my family. I need my wife and kids. Hold on, I gotta check in real quick. So anyways, yeah, like there was companies like they'll accept you for local work, like if you have like 3 to 6 months experience. Some are like a year or 2 years experience. But I could have went out and got a local job at that point. But my thing was like, if I were to go and get a local job, I'll barely be making like 1,000 or 1,500 a week, which was not enough because, like, my income was basically like the main income to pay all the bills at the house. Like, my wife, she worked as well, but like we weren't how do I say it? Like, we weren't poor, but we didn't have all kinds of extra money for me to just go out and be like, okay, let's go buy a truck now. But that was always the plan from the beginning, was to get my own truck and have my own trucking business. But anyways, we just came to the conclusion that like there was no way I would be able to save up extra money for like a down payment on the truck, the down payment on the insurance, road taxes, registration, like all that comes out to like damn near $15,000 to $20,000, just depending on like what your truck you get, how much down payment, you know, how much is your insurance going to be depending on your record, which I mean I had a clean record at the time, but yeah, anyways, that's when I made the decision. The only way I'm going to be able to save up extra money for a down payment and all the startup costs is if I become a trainer, go over the road 48 states and have a student with me and me teach him how to drive. Because at the time with Warner, it was whatever your miles, like what is it, rate per mile, you get that when you're driving and when your student is driving. So basically, like after the first 2 weeks, when observation hours are over, at that point now you could start teaming, and you could team for 2 weeks until they pretty much like graduate to be able to test out at the Warner facility, and then they get their own assigned truck. So it's basically like I was able to double my money in those 2 weeks of teaming. And I did that for basically 10 months. Actually, I can't remember. My timeline's a little messed up. But I was at Warner Enterprises for a total of 2 years. And out of that 2 years, I was a trainer. And that's how I was able to save up all of my startup costs to buy my first truck. So basically after 10 months, I had, you know, the amount that I needed, which was like, I saved up about like $25,000. And that's not all just from like being a trainer. Like some of it was from income tax returns, you know, with the child tax credits and all that. And like me and my wife, we're pretty good when it comes to like budgeting and not wasting so much money. But yeah, anyways, I was ready to buy a truck, but I had like this thought in the back of my mind, like maybe I want to do like tanker when I'm an owner operator, but I'm not gonna go straight into being a tanker driver like right when I buy my first truck. I need to learn how to do this shit first. So, you know, I applied to like a couple different tanker jobs, and this one called me back, called Trimac, based out of Downey, and super cool company. Like the bosses, the management, they're all like super down to earth, and like I could just tell right away, like, okay, I'm gonna like this place. And so yeah, I ended up doing hazmat loads, and they had me on a dedicated account where I would like go anywhere in California. As far as like the furthest I would go is like Utah or like Washington, but I only did those like maybe a handful of times. But most of the time I would go like to Hayward, Madera, Sloan, Nevada, where else? There's another one that starts with an M, but I forgot. Sometimes they would send me to Phoenix, and it was always like pick up a load in Paris, and they were always preloaded. They were loaded with resin, and I think it was usually like about maybe 30 to 40,000 pounds of resin. And I would basically be like not maxed out, but my truck, my trailer, and the load would all be like around anywhere between like 70,000 to 75,000 pounds. But yeah, I did that. It was a hell of a freaking transition going from dry van into tanker, doing hazmat tanker. And it's not like the type of tanker that you see trucks delivering to gas stations where they just hook up one hose from the back of the trailer into the ground and then open the top and they just let it just drain out into the customer's tank. Like, nah, man, I had to hook up to a pump with a hose from the trailer to the pump, and then another hose from the pump to the customer's tank, and it would basically pump out all the resin through the pump and then into the customer's tank, and it would usually take like anywhere from like 45 minutes to an hour, depending on like the thickness of that type of resin that I was delivering. But there was one that I used to deliver in Cedar City, Utah. Beautiful over there. Such a beautiful drive. That was one of my favorite places to deliver to. But the resin that they would get, it was like so thick, it was like pudding. And yeah, that would take like maybe an hour to like an hour and 15 minutes to fully unload that whole trailer. And these trailers, they were not baffled, they were cylinder bore. So like every time you came to a red light, a stop, it was just like you stop, and then like a second or 2 seconds later, it's like boom, you could just feel that thing like hit you in the back, because the liquid is just like it's sloshing back and forth as you stop and go. But like, you know, the longer that you're doing tanker, the more you get used to it, the more you kind of learn how to like feather the gas and the brake to where it doesn't like slosh at all, really. But anyways, I could get more into tanker, and I have a bunch of videos too of like when I was training on how to like hook up the pump and unload and then clean the pump. I had to carry like a 5-gallon metal container full of acetone, because we used to use acetone to wash out the hoses and the pump. Because like once you run acetone through all the resin and stuff, like it pretty much just keeps it soft, like it dilutes it to where you don't have to take it to the what's it called, the trailer wash after every load. Like you're able to like at least go a whole week without washing it every day, because we were supposed to wash it every day. But the way that my trainer taught me to do it was that as long as you ran acetone through all your hoses and your pump, then you're good. Like you don't even really have to wash out after every load. And that's the way I did it. And he been doing it for years, like years and years. I want to say maybe like 10 or 15 years. So he knew what he was doing. But anyways, yeah, that was life as a tanker driver, and it was an awesome experience. But at the end of the day, I really didn't like how labor intensive that job was, as far as like, you know, dealing with all the hoses and the setup and having to put a bucket under every connection, and it was just a lot of work. I didn't like it. You had to be outside standing, you know, making sure nothing's leaking, like the whole 45 minutes or hour that you're waiting for it to unload. Like you have to be constantly like monitoring it, because if it leaks, like that's your ass right there. But yeah, I did that for a year. Like I wanted it to make it a solid year before I left that company. And once I hit that solid year, then I was like, okay, now I know I don't like doing tanker. Now, when I buy my truck, I'm just gonna do regular dry van, or sometimes refrigerated loads too, whatever, same thing. But I was ready. I already had my down payment, all my startup costs saved up, all that stuff the year before. Did tanker for a year, and then I'm like, all right, cool, I'm ready. So what I did was I took a family leave of absence, and told him like, I don't know how long I'm gonna be gone for, but I'll let you guys know. And then like I just kept on updating them like once a week. But anyways, that first week that I took that leave of absence, like the very next Monday, boom, I went straight out to dealerships in Fontana, and I looked at every truck, like every single truck. I was looking for an automatic, like, you know, and I get it. Like a lot of guys think like, oh, if you drive an automatic, you're not a real truck driver. All right, cool. I don't even care. If that's the case, I'm not a real truck driver then. But I wanted an automatic because at my last job, I used to work at Coca-Cola in the warehouse. So I messed up both of my knees. And that's a whole nother long story right there. But basically, to make a long story short, was I had to switch careers, and I ended up becoming a truck driver because I already knew how to drive trucks from working at Coke. Because working in the warehouse, if you're going to work on the dock loading trucks, then you have to know how to back up the trucks, because we didn't have a yard jockey. So we had to back up the trucks ourselves, load them, and then basically when the drivers came in the morning, like 4 a.m., 6 a.m., 8 a.m., the load was already ready to go. They didn't have to wait around. They just turn the key, do their pre-trip, and then take off. But anyways, shit, I got sidetracked. What was I talking about? Where did I leave off at? Oh yeah. So yeah, I shopped around for like a whole week, and it's crazy because maybe the third truck that I looked at out of like 20 dealerships, and each dealership I probably looked at maybe at least 3 to 5 trucks. But like the very first day I found this truck that I was like, damn, like I think that's the one. It was a base model Freightliner. Like it didn't have any bells and whistles. It didn't have no fog lights. It at least had electric roll-up windows. And it even had like, it came with curtains, you know, so that like if you do have to sleep in the truck, you could just close your windshield and your side windows so you have privacy. But I really freaking like this truck. It only had 465,000 miles, which is like kind of like a little bit lower than mid-range for a truck, because these trucks go up to 1 million miles or even more. But like I just kind of felt like, damn, like I looked at it, I did a pre-trip, I had a mechanic come through, and it's actually my mentor. Oh, I skipped that part. Before I even like decided to go look at trucks, I hit up, his name is Victor. I met him through my brother-in-law's, one of his friends. Well, he was a truck driver too, and he was working for Victor. And I used to watch Victor's videos like non-stop. Like the whole time since the day I became a truck driver to the day I bought my truck, I was watching Vic Med's videos every day. Just every day. Every time I had downtime and like I could just like, you know, relax for a minute, I was watching Vic Med's videos, like how to become an owner operator, how to get your own authority, how to shop around for trucks, what to look for, red flags, whatever, like DIY videos, how to change out parts. Like I was looking at Victor's videos like every day until the day that I bought my truck. So like 3 years straight, I was just watching his videos every day. And then like all the, you know, also like other YouTube channels, like any channel that talked about like how to become an owner operator, I was just watching those videos just non-stop every single day. But anyways, I ended up meeting Victor through my brother-in-law Robert, his friend David, and David worked for Victor as a company driver. And I was like, hey man, it came up to where it was like, oh yeah, I think my boss, he does YouTube videos. And I was like, I showed him a YouTube video of Victor. I was like, is this your boss? He's like, yeah, that's my boss. I'm like, oh damn, that's crazy, bro. And then I just told him like how I'm trying to be an owner operator. And I was like, hey, would you be able to like introduce? And he's like, yeah, bro, I'll call him right now. And so he called him. He was like, yeah, bro, here's his number. Give him a call. And then boom, I talked to Victor, and I just hit him up like, hey man, it was COVID 2020, and it was when like right after everything had shut down, like they just started opening, like little by little they started opening everything back up. So at the time it was like uncertainty, like fuck, COVID, what if they shut everything down again? Like what if like all the warehouses close and COVID, stay at home, all that crap. Like, man, like I was like, man, I don't know if I should even bother with buying a truck right now. Maybe I should wait. And one of my homies, George, that he had already been in the trucking business, like he had his own trucking company for like, at that time, I think he was already like maybe 3 to 5 years, something like that. He was already owner operator. And he told me, he was like, it's not a good time right now, bro. Like, just wait. And I'm like, for real? I'm thinking in my head, like, damn, but I'm ready now, bro. Like, I don't want to wait. And so, anyways, fast forward to when I talked to Victor. I hit up Victor, and I'm like, hey, man, I know it's like COVID and everything. I was like, what do you think? Should I buy a truck now, or should I wait and see how the economy is going to turn out? He's like, hell no, bro. Buy your truck right now. There's a gang of loads. And I'm like, what? And I was like, hey, bro, would it be cool? Like, would you be able to, like, sign me on under your company if I buy my own truck? And he's like, yeah, bro, if you buy your own truck, yeah, bro, you could work under my authority. I'll charge you 11% off of the gross. And, just hurry up and get your own authority so that like all that money you could get your own loads and then you don't have to be paying me 11% no more. And I was like, what? No way. I was like, hell yeah, bro. Like, thank you so much, man. So then I jumped to the point of where the next Monday I start hitting up every dealership. And maybe like the third truck that I looked at overall ended up being the truck that I bought. Even though like I looked at it the very first day, and then I still spent a whole week trying to see if I could find something better. And there was a lot of nice trucks. There was 2 other trucks that I had Victor's son, which is a mechanic. He referred me, like he was like, yeah, here's my son's info. Like, he'll charge you like $120 or $150, I can't remember, to go look at a truck. He'll bring his computer, he'll do a force regen, he'll make sure everything's good with it, and then he'll let you know like, yeah, this is a good truck, you should buy it. Or he'll be like, nah, don't buy this truck, it's gonna be too much work, like too many repairs or whatever. So I think he looked at 2 or 3 trucks for me, and the first 2 hadn't, it like they were hooked up. Like they had fog lights, they had a refrigerator, they had an inverter. They're like, some of them already like had hookups for like to put like an amp and a sub, all that. Like I just had like literally like they were already wired up and everything. But when it came to Daniel coming and looking at the truck, hooking up his computer, doing a regen, all that, they weren't good. Or they had like too many leaks, they needed too many repairs. And he was like, nah, don't get these trucks. And then I was like, all right, bro, well, there's this first truck that I seen on day 1. I was like, I think I'm gonna go get that shit, bro. Just if you can, just look at this one more truck, man. And he was like, all right, for sure. And so he went right there in Fontana. The dealership was, I think it was called Dynamic Truck Sales in Fontana, off of close to Cherry and Valley Boulevard. But yeah, he hooked up his machine, did a diagnostics, regen. He crawled underneath the truck. He looked through the whole engine with his flashlight. He was telling me like everything that he like looked pretty new that was changed out already. And the def was good, the regen was good. Like literally, I can't even think. I think there was only like maybe 3 things that needed to be changed, like the torque bar in the back for the suspension, and then maybe like the tires. The tires were low. They were like maybe only 20% life. And then one other thing. It was like something super minor. But yeah, dude, the sticker price on the truck was $43,000. Excuse me. So yeah, I ended up getting that truck for $43,000. I put down like, I think it was $8,500 down, and then my my insurance. I can't remember how much the insurance was. Hold on, let me go unlock my corners. All right, yeah, my bad. After I unlocked my corners, I ended up going in, getting my load info, going straight to my location. They took off my empty, and then went straight to my other location. They loaded me, and then I was already out. I was in and out of there within like 30 minutes. Right now, I'm already driving to the delivery to Rialto. But anyways, where I left off was how much the insurance was. So I think I paid, since I was a new venture, like brand new, starting a new trunking company, I think I paid like around $3,000 or like $3,500 down for my insurance, and that was with Progressive, because at the time Progressive, they were allowing new trucking companies to get insurance. Because right now I heard they stopped doing that. Like now you have to have like a couple years before you could get Progressive. But yeah, at the time I was able to get Progressive, and then I had to pay the road taxes, which was like $500. And then what else? Oh, as far as my authority, or not my authority, but as far as my like my business, I actually opened my business name back that year in February, but I didn't actually buy the truck until August of 2020. But yeah, as far as starting the business name, I did it all on my own. Like actually no, I did pay somebody. I paid a lady like $500 to open up my corporation. I could have did an LLC or an S corp, and I decided to just go straight to an S corp, because I heard that LLCs, like once you're at a certain level of business, then you could eventually just transfer it or convert it into an S corp. But the only difference between S corp and LLC is just like how much taxes you pay. Because LLC, you still got to pay 15%, what's it called? Like owner taxes. What's it called, man? Damn it. Anyways, let me know in the chat what is it called. But with the S corp, you don't have to pay the 50% owner taxes. But the only drawback, or not drawback, but just the caveat to that, is you have to pay yourself as a W-2 throughout the whole year, and like have taxes taken out, and like you got to pay taxes on the business side, and you got to pay taxes out of the personal side. But yeah, I just do that once a month. I do payroll once a month, so that way every time, like, cause I do it through QuickBooks, and they pretty much charge like a certain amount. I think I paid like I don't even know, $80 every transaction. So if it's 4 times a month, then that's 80 times 4. So I just do it once a month. So I just pay the $80 just once a month, and that's it. But yeah, that's the way that I went. That's how I got my truck. That's how I started my trucking business. I didn't realize how long the video was gonna be right now, but I'm trying to make my videos like around 10-15 minutes. This is already at like 30 minutes already. So I'll go ahead and I'll talk about like my 5-year update of my trucking business and like how I started, you know, how good it was and the worst that it got, and with the trucking recession and COVID and all that stuff, all that good stuff. I'll make a whole new video about that. But anyways, if you watched all the way to the end, I appreciate you. If you're out there driving, drive safe, and hope you have a blessed day.